Hey,
Hey,
I'm Sybil Erie,
and I'm Rose Nocturne.
and we're
The Ghost Maidens. We're a paranormal investigation duo that navigates across the frontier of reality, post-truth, and modern spiritualism.
where metaphysics and entertainment red pill simultaneously and merge into the phenomenon known as paranormal pop culture.
Being the true millennials we are, we made a podcast called Ghosts and...
In this podcast, we talk with academics, scientists, artists, paranormal investigators, and sometimes our own moms.
Oh, God. This is Ghosts and Paranormal Pop Culture.
Okay, we have got Erin Sagers on the line. And Erin is a TV and on-camera host, producer, journalist, author, and social media pro. He currently appears as a journalist pundit on Travel Channel's Paranormal Caught on Camera. Previously, he was a host, producer, and editor-at-large for the Sci-Fi Channel. Sagers has expert knowledge in the topics of pop culture, travel, paranormal history, and folklore and tiki cocktail culture. Okay. He has researched and presented on topics such as, but not limited to, the history of paranormal and pop culture, truth and fiction behind curses in pop culture, Doctor Who fan culture, Marvel and DC movie verses, zombies in the media, and A Decade of Zombies, 2004 to 2014. Hello.
Turn on
Here I am.
Yes. There you are.
Well done. Great intro. It's all memorized too, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
She is so good.
My mind is so expansive. I'm so
Yeah.
glad we could finally get you here.
Black like I like your mug.
What did it
Oh.
say?
Black like my soul.
Yeah. So what's going on with you guys? How's your day going? What are you guys drinking over there? Are you allowed to say?
Oh, we're so allowed to say?
We're very allowed to say that.
I'm steering this shit ship. We can say whatever we want.
All right.
Sybil's drinking a lovely carrot mimosa
Out of a beer glass?
out of a beer glass, and I'm drinking fermented grape juice.
Okay. You know, I always thought that you guys were classy, but then when I arrived to see the carrot juice and prosecco,
I know.
I knew.
We're
I
living
knew
a
I was
champagne
confirmation.
lifestyle on a prosecco
Yeah.
budget. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's just avant-garde. It's not cool yet.
It's actually a pretty brilliant idea to mix carrot juice and alcohol, because the more you drink, some people's vision start to go. They get a little bit blurry, but the vitamins in the carrot counteracts that. So you're staying sharp.
Exactly.
So I think you know what you're doing.
I won't have beer goggles later when I don't go out to the club and I don't sleep with anyone. So, win-win all around.
Smart girl. Paranormal rabbit. So, Erin, have you noticed that we've been hijacking your hashtag on Instagram?
We've been trying our best.
Yes, I know. I'm surprised my lawyers have not gotten involved.
Because Aaron, he's the king of paranormal pop culture. He invented the term, so we're gonna talk all about that.
Yeah.
But Sybil and I, we've been trying to also reach the virtual top of this paranormal pop cultural kingdom. So there have been moments that we hijacked your paranormal pop culture hashtag.
Yeah,
and we are very proud of that. So
I love it. I mean, it's something that I genuinely love as a term and a pursuit, but it doesn't just belong to me. I mean, I like that you guys are using it. So, it's good company that I get to keep with you guys.
yeah, and I thought that maybe we could start there and just explain to everyone in our chat what exactly is paranormal pop culture.
what is it to you?
Visit to me. So I tend to define it as the intersection, and again, you might be hearing car horns outside. That's again Brooklyn.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to define it as the intersection of entertainment and belief, the entertainment of the unexplained. And when I really started pursuing it as sort of my niche within the paranormal, it was looking at how belief influences entertainment and pop culture, but also how entertainment influences belief. And also, if I'm being totally honest, it was a way of carving out my own little thing in the paranormal that no one else was doing. And my training, my background is as a journalist. And even though I love talking about theories and I research folklore and everything, I don't present myself as a ghost hunter. I don't present myself as a paranormal investigator. I certainly have gone out there. I have done it. And I've seen some crazy stuff, but I don't present myself as an investigator. Instead, it was a journalist talking about this very kind of specific region within the paranormal.
I don't think it happens a lot in the paranormal world that people take a more meta approach on the phenomenon.
Some of the folks that I interact with, who I love, like I've worked with pretty much all the reality shows that are out there in one form or another. Some of the folks really kind of get where they're at, and they take it seriously, which they should. They take the paranormal seriously. But some people kind of miss the idea that when you watch a TV show, it's entertainment. You know, you're not, it's, even if you're presenting everything as is, even if you would never engage in shenanigans or faking anything, when you watch a half-hour or hour-long show about paranormal or paranormal investigations, it's still entertainment. And I think we're kind of reaching a point now within specifically the reality TV part of this genre where people are kind of appreciating that a little bit more. You still get some people that watch a show and they're like, this is how you word for word, step by step conduct a paranormal investigation. Some people still do that, but other people kind of get that that's just like the entertainment part of it.
Why do you think it's more popular now than ever?
Yes.
Well, I don't think the paranormal has ever gone away. I don't think the interest in the paranormal has ever gone away. I think, you know, traditionally we always see these kind of ebb and flow, peaks and valleys. I think it's just we have a larger landscape now. We have so many streaming platforms. We have so many networks. Yeah. People can go watch anything they want to watch at any time. So that's one big reason that it's come back in a big way. And also, times are weird, man. Like when we see weird economic times, weird societal shifts, things like that, paranormal does really well.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, what makes a good paranormal show? What makes good entertainment?
Yeah, what is the perfect environment for a successful paranormal show?
Well, I think those are two different questions. As far as what makes people kind of gravitate to the paranormal during these weird times, I think they're seeking meaning, sort of like the rise of spiritualism. You know, after the Civil War in the States, that was really the beginning of spiritualism, and then it started to spread. But then it kind of dipped back a little bit for a while, and then World War I happened, and then we saw this big resurgence of spiritualism. And then, like, even looking at 9/11, and again, I know this is kind of a very American-centric kind of viewpoint, and different cultures kind of approach it differently. But after 9/11, that, shortly after that is when we saw the rise of these paranormal reality shows, Ghost Hunters, the Most Haunted, I think, or The Haunting, and then later Ghost Adventures, things like that. But so I think people seek meaning during times of uncertainty. I think we're kind of moving into a territory where people are more interested in stories and more interested in, I don't think it's all about just like, look at this picture I captured and it's a ghost. I think people are a little bit more interested in the stories now and the kind of the personalities involved in those stories. What do you guys think?
What for me is very interesting is that the fear is becoming entertaining. Like also, horror movies have always been entertaining, but it almost looks like the more we believe that there's actually ghosts, the more frightened we are, because this is a lot of times this is also the premise of these reality shows, is to make it look really scary and to make the ghosts look hostile, or at least something you would want to get rid of, or something that is like negative.
It's to like really feel alive again somehow because our lives are so comfortable.
Yeah, it's like almost like we're too comfortable. This is how we've evolved into lives are not necessarily better, but it's definitely more comfortable.
I think that's an element of it, but I also think, like, what shows do you guys like watching, or do you watch any of the shows?
Yeah.
My very favorite is Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, it's just
But also because it's totally personality based. Like Zach is just he's a personality, and I think the entire show just very much leans on him being charismatic, or a brand, or something that people also want to be. Like this kick-ass, tough, kind of tragic, lonely boy, paranormal prince, misunderstood artist, maybe even a little bit.
Yeah, and he's doing the Haunted Museum, and like he's kind of like curating, which like we both have an art background, so we're both like, okay, it's like some sort of misunderstood artist, like curator, because like haunted objects and art pieces for me require the same elements to succeed. Like you need a context, you need a story, you need somehow to create value about it. Like it's exactly the same concept for me. It's also like it's very poetic often. There's this one episode where I think it's about a serial killer, the clown guy, I know
John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah. Yes. And in this prison they still have a piece of his brain. And then Zach holds this piece of this brain, like almost as if he's holding the very essence of the man itself, and he's like treating it like a holy artifact almost. And this is so extremely poetic for me because it says almost everything about everything. It's like it says something about where we think the consciousness is. It says something about where someone's identity is, or that. Like, it's almost by touching the brain, it's like you become a part of the crimes he committed or something. So it's like almost this magical, contagious identity idea or something. This is
pure magical thinking.
It's so poetic. And it almost like they don't notice it themselves, which makes it innocent or something. Like, I want to like, aw, you poor thing. I don't know. I think
that's a really interesting observation. I think Zach's brand and Zach's identity in the paranormal has evolved in a really nice way as well. And I think early on, something that separated them is they were sort of the bad boy, not the bad boys, but they were the rough and tumble, go in there.
Tough guys.
Yeah. And well, Zach was. I wouldn't say Aaron has ever been the tough guy, but but they would go in there, and that's something that really made them distinct from, at that time, the other two big shows were Ghost Hunters and Paranormal State was still on.
Oh, yeah.
And then there were some other ones in the fringes. But Zach, I've known Zach for a long time, and he actually. The reason we did Paranormal Paparazzi was because of Zach. Zach and I produced it together, and let's face it, Zach was really the powerhouse that was moving it through the networks. But I watched his brand evolve, and I think he really does have an appreciation of story. I mean, you know what? When I talk to people about this stuff, I'm like, we can talk about this from a belief perspective. But if you just want to look at it from the entertainment perspective and just from a story perspective, I love doing that because just from that element, it's a hell of an entertaining show.
Yes.
And the way he has moved in this direction now is, I wouldn't say anymore that he's trying to be this tough guy. He's still like very much the alpha of that group, but he's kind of moved into this gothic territory. And I mean that in a classic sense, not the black eyeliner, Hot Topic sense, but
Yes.
as in the gothic romance sense, there's this creeping sense of dread. There is a romance to it, to your point. There's a little bit more nuance to the stories. And yes, I mean, it's also fascinating watching this entire world that he has built around him with the Haunted Museum and his various other projects. So, he's arguably, not even arguably, he's the most famous of the paranormal investigators and the most famous. I mean, he has broken through to being an actual celebrity, not just a reality TV personality, but an actual celebrity. Zach Bagans, even if you don't like his show, you recognize the guy. He wants to pursue the darkness to understand it, to know how to, in his opinion, combat it. That's I think
kind of satanic, ironically,
yeah,
I think.
and also that sounds like every artist's mission as well.
Yeah.
I think it's actually more macabre to not think about your own death.
Well, it's kind of interesting though within the, and again, we're talking specifically the reality TV component of paranormal pop culture, which encompasses scripted as well. But you don't really see a whole lot of discussion about death in these shows. We talk about the afterlife, and we talk about how maybe someone died and they're sticking around, but they're not. These shows aren't really talking about mortality.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it kind of ironic because you could make the argument that these shows are about us trying to escape our mortality or ignore our mortality, which we're very good about doing in Western culture.
Yeah.
We don't really want to talk about death or confront death. So we're kind of avoiding that topic. We're skipping ahead to you're never really gone.
And Sean's question is, piggybacking on something Rose said, do you think a positive paranormal story would make it to TV in the current climate? Or does it all need to be fear and anxiety? Kindred Spirits is kind of that also. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say. On the reality TV component, Kindred Spirits is really trying to kind of tell that personal family story, has not always happy endings necessarily, but it's telling happier stories, I think. I think within cinema and scripted or TV stuff, I think look at House on Haunted Hill. It was again very gothic in
that's in
the
Netflix,
genre,
right?
but it does on Netflix. But it did tell a story about a family, and while it got dark and scary, it was also there's uplifting elements, and there was a redemption component to it. So I think really if you tell a good story, people tend to respond. So yes, I think it would work.
I want to know who's your favorite creature, like your favorite lore, your weirdest story. What is it?
I also have another question.
Well, those are okay. So my favorite lore, I mean, I have been on a big Mothman kick lately.
I've been hearing about this Mothman more and more.
It's coming, Rose. It's coming.
Popular. Yeah, it's popular.
Yeah, it is. I like actually really looking at things like the hidden folk of Iceland, but also how that idea is present in other cultures, that there's sort of this invisible race of people that go about their own lives. They have their own culture. They get married. They work jobs. They have their own rituals and everything. They're just sort of living alongside us, just slightly out of skew with our perception reality. And I'm fascinated about that because it's just something that pops up in a lot of other cultures. So I like that. And I mean, I am a big fan of zombies, but the zombies that I like are really more the pop culture zombies, the George Romero zombies, the, returning after the dead, after dying kind of zombies, instead of like the Haitian voodoo zombies.
What is your theory about what kind of fear is the zombie representing?
Oh, I think zombies represent. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I'm going to give credit to Dr. Margie Kerr, who is a sociologist who studied. She's a fear sociologist, and a couple years ago for Sci-Fi, she and I did a series called The Science of Fear, and we talked about this because zombies represent a couple things. You know, on one hand, they are the ultimate other. They're whatever other invading other people are afraid of. They kind of represent that. You know, they're moving into your land, they're coming after you. So I think that's sort of like a very kind of xenophobic fear. It's the corruption of our bodies, like that you could exist, but it's no longer you, or it's no longer your mother or your spouse. It's they have been corrupted, and you have to then make the decision to eliminate them. So I think it's that. But so it's a couple different things. Zombies are also the original sort of idea of the zombie, the original pop culture zombie, meaning the George Romero Night of the Living Dead zombie, is ultimately the worst kind of natural disaster we can be faced with. However, it's solvable, it's navigable, because if the humans in those movies just kind of agreed that, like, okay, you're going to board up the windows, okay, go look in the nearby cars and gather the cans, and okay, we're gonna get together and have a plan. We're gonna survive this, because ultimately this threat's gonna go away. Mm-hmm. And these are slow moving creatures. It's like a hurricane. It's coming at you slowly, but we can navigate it. But that's not what happens, because ego gets in the way, and I want to be a leader, and I want to be the guy with the crossbow or whatever it is, and so then we just screw it all up. So it's like this natural disaster that highlights the flaws of our own ego. So I think that's a big part of it as well. And honestly, that's COVID-19 and the pandemic. If we were playing a video game, we are on the easy level, okay?
Yeah.
And that's not to dismiss like the hundreds of thousands of people that have died, but this was the easy level of the video game.
Yeah, this was not a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, wear a mask, stay indoors, play video games, get food delivered to you, get through this. No, that was the easy level.
Yeah.
We are not...
Go on TikTok, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, we screwed it up. So we're not even ready for the normal difficulty level. And
I don't know if I want to be rescued.
Yeah. And I say this, like, I'm not so much a big fan of The Walking Dead in recent years, but to borrow a character from, if you know Negan from The Walking Dead, I walk down the street and I think, oh, like all of the people that are anti-mask or anti-vaxxer, the people that, those folks, they are the Negans of Walking Dead tomorrow. Like this is the villain origin story for the dystopian horror movie or zombie story later, because they're the ones that, that this is where they got their start. Sorry, I was on
No, that's great. Like, for me, I see a lot of, like, zombie very much represents, like, corporate culture for me. Like, this kind of mindless working thing where you don't know who you are anymore. You're just kind of trudging about day in, day out, looking for brains or for some semblance of who you used to be before you had to, like, grow up and get a corporate job, or, like, the 9 to 5. And I don't know, it kind of represents that for me. Like, also zombies is that they just keep coming and they're everywhere.
And they're also in buildings, and normally it's in a big city. Like the zombie scenes in like the center of New York, for example, are way more impressive than somewhere in a farm. Like we want to see them still in their clerk clothes,
their suits,
but they're
like, I mean, that's why I think that's a astute point, because I mean, Shaun of the Dead with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, that's by Edgar Wright. That's one of my favorite movies. Period.
It's a good movie. Yeah, it's
that very much speaks to that. The zombification of ourselves because of the lame jobs that don't satisfy us, or we're basically on autopilot through our relationships and our social lives. Like, we're not really actively engaging with our own lives. So we've become the zombies. So yeah, that's a great point.
I wanted to know, what do you want to do with your body when you die?
Okay. I've been thinking about
Pour me
this.
in a cocktail.
Yeah. Pour me.
Yeah.
The Aaron cocktail.
that'd be kind of cool. You know what? That's actually not a bad idea. So now I'm going to have to adjust this somewhat. I'm sure, yeah.
Tikify me.
Tiki
I
me,
mean,
baby.
Cannibalism is definitely like, it's a practice that I think, people are too quick to dismiss cannibalism, because other cultures, when they engaged in cannibalism, it really was.
I have a very controversial
ritual
opinion about this.
I don't mean like cutting slices off of me as like, carpaccio, but I think like, there's some interesting elements of cannibalism there, but they're not enjoying it. It's more of like getting rid of the body. But
yeah.
In response to your question, I think I'm kind of the mindset now that I don't want to be embalmed. I don't really want to be buried. If I was cremated, that would be fine. But honestly, I feel like I've been existing on this planet and using all these resources that just put me back, put me somewhere. Like, I would be okay if you just kind of set me out somewhere for nature to reclaim me, for animals to, eat off of me, whatever they want.
Like a sky burial.
Let me just be returned to that state. Or you could feed me to sharks.
Oh.
That'd be okay too.
Preferably
which
dead
is basically
already.
the same thing.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah. I mean, I would rather be dead, but I would say, although I was bit by a shark as a child.
Really?
But,
No way.
Wow.
But yeah, you could shoot me into space, I guess, if something cool were to happen. I don't know what you would do with me up there. The cocktail idea I kind of like, because I imagine you could you would probably have to cremate me and then sprinkle little bits of ashes into some of the...
Yeah, or like
the sourdough cocktail.
On the margarita, the thing you put on the side of your margarita, like the little flavor,
Yeah,
like
the rim.
salt. Yeah.
Or like a sour,
Yeah.
like the sourdough cocktail. Someone accidentally drinks the toe, and then they have to get another toe from someone and pickle it.
Oh, yeah, this
Sourdough cocktail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're working some things out here. I like it.
Really, we are.
Well, the cannibalism thing, like you said, we are dismissing cannibalism too fast, and I 100% agree with you, because I think we would solve a lot of problems. I'm just gonna say this, and then maybe I'll never say it again, but I think we should eat our elderly. I think it solves many problems. I think it's beautiful.
Waiting for chat to react to that.
It's
okay.
beautiful. We can make it a ritual. You get to make it also in a recipe is like honors their lives. We would not have to eat other meat anymore, because that's just you're eating your ancestors, and you'd literally take them inside yourself.
Eat our elderly.
Is this...
I really think we should eat it.
No, Rose. No.
Is this a mandatory, like, certain age cutoff? Like,
no, but I think if it's
suddenly one day
normalized,
your grandma and next day your dinner.
I don't think we could eat all our elderly, but I think there could be, like, it should also be voluntarily, like, you get to pick what people do with your body after you die, but I think if we normalize this kind of funeralistic cannibalism, then I think it could even be like a very honorable way to. So like if you can, then why not?
Hashtag normalized cannibalism.
Funeralistic
cannibalism.
I forget the tribe, but there was, and I'm blanking. I'm on the specifics of the name, but there was a tribe that before they were colonized, they would, when someone in their tribe would die, everyone else would, I think, take pieces off of their own huts, their own shelters to create a pyre. And they would, as a community, burn the body, and the family, and I think the family, and also I think certain members of the community would have to eat the flesh. Now, this wasn't a treat. It wasn't like, that was, wow, who knew that George was so tasty all that time? I would have eaten him a long time ago if I'd known this. But it wasn't enjoyable. It was like, this was a horrible task, but they would do it, and they would vomit and then go back to it, because it was disposing of the body. And and it was a way of breaking down this body, but also this member of the community. And then I think they also followed it up by breaking down the home of the deceased and spreading their possessions throughout the community as well, if I recall correctly. But it wasn't like barbecue tonight, a rotisserie, Robert rotisserie. It was just like a way of like getting rid of the corpse and ceremonially, returning them to spreading them out through the community. So,
I'm not opposed. I think what we do with our deceased now is also weird. Yeah. Like putting them in a box and leaving them there forever, or 30 years if you don't want to pay for more. Yeah. So it's also super weird.
Yeah, the whole embalming process is weird. It's something that really, it's only a couple generations ago. I mean, it was right around the Civil War that embalming became a process in the United States, and then very quickly kind of spread elsewhere. But, and that's the other thing about confronting mortality. There was a time when if someone died, if a family member died, they would be on display in your home, and you would be living with the dead, and you would be encountering this process, and they wouldn't decay, but that decomposition would begin. But we faced it. People would die in homes. They wouldn't die. Yeah. It wasn't like they were dying in a elder care home. It's not like they were dying. We're so removed from the process that it's all in hospitals. People so rarely are actually dying at home anymore, or they would be on a battlefield or something. But at that time, it was like people had to confront it in their own home, and that was probably healthier. But now we embalm them and make people. I have like weird relationships with the whole funeral process, so I think it's all screwed up.
Yeah, and very expensive also.
Yeah, it's big business, death. Mm-hmm. No, I think I'm conservative. I think I do want people to put me in a box, but not necessarily because I want to be in a box when I'm dead. But I'm a theater girl, and if I can have a stage for 30 more years for people to go to and think about me, I'm gonna take it.
So, if you were, would you want like a glass casket, and would you want to be not embalmed necessarily? I mean, that's a separate thing. But if we could vacuum seal you, so you would be preserved and on display, would you go for that in a glass casket?
It's kind of metal.
It is pretty metal.
I like the shock value. I like it, but I also like the idea of people going to my grave for serenity. And I think when there's like a weird looking decaying corpse in a way, like a dry mummy, I think people are not going to have profound thoughts anymore.
I want to watch the show where the ghost maidens travel around space in their flying caskets and maybe solve crimes or something.
I think we're going to have to write that
down.
Or commit crimes.
Or just tell you about art and history and be like, do you really think that? And then
I kind of like the idea of like solving crimes with our like earth ethics. It's going to be super... You shouldn't steal. And then you have to explain stealing, and then they're like... and then never mind.
I think if humans are going to be traveling to other planets, probably what we should do is maybe not try to impose our ethics on other people.
If you, like, this Earth is dying, let's just
Okay.
say it is.
Let's just say it
I'm
is.
just gonna put it out
Okay.
there. And, like, Elon Musk is, like, taking us all, or a select group of people, to live on Mars, and he tells you, or Jeff Bezos, I don't know who's gonna be first, Aaron, you are the chosen one to come with us to live on the next planet and leave this one behind. Would you go?
So a couple of years ago, I was doing some work with National Geographic Channel, and they were producing a TV show called Mars, and I was able to go on the set of Mars. So I was on the planet Mars through Hollywood Magic. It was pretty wild. But then along with that, I weirdly ended up giving a presentation where it was me, an astronaut, a astrophysicist, and like a true rocket scientist. Somehow I fit into that group. I did not fit in that group, but somehow I was billed with that. And I had to kind of think about these topics a little bit. And the conclusion I came to is, hell yeah, I would go. I mean, but I would go because it's going to be a one-way ticket, right? You're going to go, you're not coming back.
Never.
And if we're leaving anytime soon, it's not even guaranteed you're going to make it. So chances are actually probably good you're not going to make it. The first wave of people that are going to go to Mars probably aren't going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also kind of cool because you get to be, even if you die in space, we're one of the first people that tried to attempt that trip. But
Mars Pilgrim.
so I think that's kind of a cool idea, but I wouldn't do it because I need to get off Earth. I wouldn't do it because it's like, well, we're screwed. I would do it more for the adventure component. And that's kind of also where I am as far as really exploration, space exploration and Mars, is that we should push forward with these things. I think they are really important and they could yield scientific discoveries, and it's fascinating. I also think it's really good for us to be looking at something like that in an aspirational way. However, while all the billionaires are doing that, I also want the billionaires to be putting money into the planet and solving the problems right here on the ground, because we still have a lot of work to do and can still do here. So I wouldn't do it because we're boned. I would do it because it's an adventure,
Yeah. I like that.
And I don't think the planet's gonna die. I think the planet's probably gonna just eventually flick us off like a
Planet's
pesky
gonna be fine.
flea.
We're the ones that we want to save our own ass. It's not because we want to save the planet. Because if we want to save the planet, then we just gotta go.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a couple other things we could do to make things a little bit better right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be nice to see. But I don't know, would you guys go?
Never.
No.
No.
Absolutely not. Staying right here. Don't belong in space. Terrifying. Thank you very much.
Says the
Elon
woman
Musk.
that is
Not going.
floating in space with her casket.
Metaphorically, beautiful place, but I only care about space in a way that I'm in it. The thing on itself for me doesn't exist. Because the scale is just freaking me out, and it's irrelevant.
Rose also has a lot of trouble with aliens, so...
I have trouble with aliens, but also because for me it's very clearly a cultural phenomenon, and it's because where I'm from, no one has seen an alien. It's not here. And then where Sybil's from, like also in Colorado, everyone has seen an alien.
Mm.
And I think...
Or UFO, yeah.
Or a saucer,
UFO,
whatever.
yeah.
And now it's also coming this way a little bit. Like, people are starting to believe in aliens, but that's always, like, from, like, an American guru or something like that. So it's still, like, an American pop cultural, I would say, influence.
Where are you originally from, Rose?
I'm from the Netherlands.
She's Dutch, and we're both we're both in The Hague in the Netherlands right now.
So
well, yeah, I know that's
no.
where you were. I just didn't know if that's where you're from.
Yeah.
So you're
She's
saying that there's not a lot of folks that claim to see aliens in the Netherlands.
0.
0.
Or ghosts.
That's a bold statement.
Or also ghosts.
There are people, but it's not a thing.
I'm gonna find some.
Oh, we have a mission here. I'm gonna prove it wrong.
Yeah. I'm gonna be, because I'm pretty certain we can find some folks. But
you find me a Dutch alien.
Well, I mean, the alien won't be Dutch, but I will find a Dutch alien experiencer or abductee or eyewitness or something.
That is not caused by an American guru.
I know there's one out there, and I gotta think about this. It's probably gonna come to me afterwards, but I think there's a famous one out there. But so do you believe in extraterrestrial life?
You're
This is what
asking
happens
me...
when you have a journalist on here. I'm gonna now start asking you the questions.
And like I can feel where my where I don't want to go. I can feel it happen, and I have to imagine the universe right now, and I can't, so I'm doing it now. And then when I do that, imagining the universe and its scale, then sure, there must be a place where there is a life form. But it's not here, man. It's not close. And if there is people, aliens, like, it's more likely that they're us from the future or something. I don't know. Then that's a different life form traveling light years to do what? Why? I don't know. But this.
Well. So you think there might be life out there, but you don't think it's intelligent. But if it is intelligent,
I'm not saying I don't think it's intelligent. I just think that it's not here.
Not in this solar system, like not in our neighborhood, or what?
In our periphery.
Yeah. Okay. What about interdimensional?
And for me, I think the only reason that aliens would be here in our periphery would be because they would be us from the future.
Exactly.
But Rose is
so you don't think aliens, you don't think extraterrestrial life has visited Earth?
Rose? Okay, that one's for you, Rose.
No, I don't think so. But more so, what I have a problem with, and I think this is a stronger opinion than aliens not ever having been here, is that we give credit to aliens for doing things that we did. For example, like building the pyramids, which is a beautiful job we've done. It's the fucking wonder. Like, humans are capable of such things. And then it makes me a little bit angry when people are like, we cannot do such a thing, and it must have been aliens. And we're not giving ourselves credit for beautiful things that we've created in the past. And I think that's just a weird existential low self-esteem we have as a species that's just not willing to receive miracle from our own hands. And I find that offensive for my own imagination.
Okay. I mean, it's also kind of bad because when we're talking about like the pyramids, and it was built by enslaved people. So when we give all the credit to aliens, it's sort of like, we're kind of forgetting about the people that were forced to do that.
Also, this frustration is also overshadowing my alien existence opinion a little bit.
Right. It's a little bit of an alien prejudice here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going on, but take it away from me also. Yeah. Like I'm open to it.
And Sybil?
Yeah, I studied biology for 4 years, so I'm very like fine with the fact that it exists. The universe is a big place. Also, bacteria counts as life. That's also
Sure.
fine. Also, intelligence, as humans decided. I mean, like there's a one end of the spectrum where I think humans are an absolute wonder, and then at the other end of the spectrum, I think they're absolutely terrible viruses that just can't do anything right. So like I'm constantly bouncing between both ends of that spectrum. And then I also think like, okay, if there were aliens and they weren't us from the future, what would they want? Of course they would want resources because they're very hard to find. Carbon-based life, carbon-based resources. The Goldilocks planet, as it were. So I would also be like, well, do we really want aliens to find us? So I'm also there. And then I'm also just mostly considering the fact that that aliens, like the Greys with the big eyes, it's just like that's what we're all gonna look like in the future, telepathic communication. And something went wrong in the future, as it always does. So now we are trying to come back to a certain point in time, somewhere, to try to like alter the course of history. It just sounds like that adds up too much for me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I allow for the possibility of pretty much any scenario, but if we are looking at it through a human lens, if there was extraterrestrial life and they visited here, which probably would also mean that they would have a superior technology. If they were anything like us, yeah, it would be bad news, because what happens when we discover something new, we tend to try to dominate it and squash it. And but you would also hope that, in theory, if something were to advance to that point, then they would be more evolved, more, heightened consciousness, I guess. But more it's
resources.
But who knows? So there you go. There's
one alien for
He's
me
crazy,
to just forever believe in all the aliens only. So
only one alien to show up in your at your house. Or
it
what?
only takes
To
one
knock on your door?
ghost and one alien to prove everything wrong. So,
and I must say, I did see there was this Ghost Avengers episode where they did see like some kind of caught on camera alien shape. That kind of already shook my beliefs a little bit. It was like, I don't know what that was. I don't like it.
That's where that's definitely my jam. I think that's where the weirdness gets really fun, is that there's a lot of crossover about the words we use for things are almost I use the word ghost because it's just easy, but I don't think in terms of just ooh, ghost, I think it's there's a lot more to it all. So I think that there's some cool crossovers, and I think that maybe it's even just visitors from somewhere just slightly askew from us. So.
Chat wants to know what you think of the simulation theory.
Was that Chad?
Chat. We refer
community.
to them collectively as chat.
Oh, collectively chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like the modern
chat.
Plato's cave for programmers.
Yes. Well,
we're all chats, though.
We are all chat. I think that. I mean, I don't think that we're in a simulation. But I guess my thought is that if we're in a simulation, and I with the show we do, we occasionally talk about glitches in the Matrix and things like that. And I know Elon Musk has talked about living in a simulation.
Yeah. It's a very convenient theory.
So, yeah, I don't think so. Or maybe it's just like a really outdated program. But I do find it interesting to think about, because if I exist in a simulation, what is the point of the program? Okay. Is the program intended to keep me unaware of the simulation? if that's the case, the fact that I'm asking this question and you're asking that question and enough people are asking this question, if we start questioning that, then we essentially become bugs within the program. It's a buggy system.
Yeah.
And if it's a buggy system, what do we do when our programming is too buggy? Well, we either install some sort of patch or we do a reboot. And if that's the case, then we're donezo. You know, we're going to be wiped out, you know? So if I'm a bug in the system, you know, I'm not going to survive that next update. But I think it's an interesting idea, but you know, and again, are we like batteries? Are we some sort of organic batteries a la the Matrix? Are we part of just some sort of Sims world or like a human zoo for some other intelligence to watch? I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested as far as like what the point of us being in this simulation would be.
What is the point?
I mean, I guess the bigger question is, if I found out if I was in a simulation, would I choose to stay in the simulation? Would it be the red pill, blue pill situation? I think maybe ignorance is bliss. If I could upgrade my own existence within the simulation and move about and fly around or something, you know, I would probably go with that. You know, that's better than the crappy Matrix raves they have once they're outside of the simulation.
Crappy Matrix raves in a cave. Oh, I also wanted to know the tiki fascination. Where does that come from?
I love traveling. I love adventure, but I'm definitely a beach kid. I love the beach. I love sort of that idea of paradise. Several years ago when I was traveling a lot, I was traveling all over the world. And, okay, you know, if I'm going to travel to a country, it'd be kind of cool to, yes, go to main tourist landmark, you know, sure, of course, go see, you know, the Eiffel Tower or whatever. But it'd be a little bit cooler if I find something that's my own. So then I started trying to find a tiki bar in every country I went to. And that became a bit of a mission. But then I combined it with the paranormal without really thinking about it on a conscious level. And I've later kind of unpacked it that I started doing designs. Like I do a Patreon called Geeky Creepy Tiki Travels. It's patreon.com/Aaron Sagers, but I call it Geeky Creepy Tiki Travels, where I do tiki recipes and I talk about the paranormal and all that other stuff. But when you're talking about paradise, or this idea of paradise, and you're talking about these colorful drinks and everything, it's a dichotomy, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like on one hand, I talk about the paranormal and spooky stuff and dark stuff. And on the other hand, I dress in these colors and I embrace these colorful cocktails and talk about paradise. And I think that they are both part of the same package, you know, life and celebrating paradise while also acknowledging death and the macabre and things like that.
Yeah.
And
it's like a
combining those two things. Yeah. Maybe I'm a sunshine goth. Also,
I like it.
I think part of it is also like there was just a lot of things going on at the same time because I would go to paranormal events or I'd work on paranormal shows or whatever. And for a while, everybody was dressed all in black and very serious and everything. And that's not me. Like, I'm not bro-y. I'm not super serious all the time. I do wear a lot of black clothing, but that's just a result of New York City at times. But I was just like, you know what? I'm going to not be that. I don't want to be that person. I want to be colorful. I want to be cheery and talk about spooky shit.
Yeah. I think there is also a question in chat that is a good bridge for this.
Oh.
What is
cool.
on your paranormal travel bucket list?
Oh, good question. Who asked that?
Sean.
Oh, Sean.
Thank you, Sean, a.k.a. Chat.
Chat.
I don't know. That's a tough one because I'm kind of revisiting a lot of haunts that I haven't been to in a while. Like, I'm gonna revisit the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. I think in a couple weeks. I would like to explore Disney World or Disneyland from a paranormal perspective.
I like that a lot.
I like that a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think there's that confluence of lore and legend, but also a lot of belief. It doesn't have to be a place that has ancient history, and I don't think it has to be a place where a lot of people have died, although people have died there. It's just the charge of everyone having these strong emotions and beliefs there. That
it's almost like a
imbue it with
pilgrimage,
some
I
sort of
think, to
energy.
some people.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Disney World.
It most certainly is. Yeah. It's like American Gods level of Neil Gaiman type of pilgrimage mecca. But then there is also the stories of actual ghosts there, and there are the stories of people that have tried to dispose of ashes on the property or in the haunted mansion. That is a fact. People have tried to dispose of ashes, but spoiler alert, those ashes get pretty quickly vacuumed up because they have cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
So your cremated Uncle Albert ends up in a trash can somewhere, a biohazard bag.
Yeah.
But
so kitsch. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a place where I would like to explore from a paranormal perspective.
We'd like to go to Walmart with a paranormal perspective. And Sleevington also wants me to tell Aaron I love him.
And I love you. Sleepy 10, was it?
Sleepy 10.
Sleevington. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, where can we find you? Your
Please
socials.
tell us all the things.
Well, you can find me at Aaron Sagers on Instagram, and yes, I still use Twitter because it's a helpful tool for tracking media trends.
Twitter's still hot.
Is it? It's a big platform. Yes. I do have Facebook. It's a bit of a garbage fire over there, but I am on it. I'm on a personal page, but I think I maxed that out. So, but I also have I have a personal profile and a public page. You can add me on either one of those things. And I have ventured into the world of TikTok. So I'm exploring that as well. So it's pretty much always at Aaron Sagers anywhere. I think on Facebook it's Aaron Sagers page. And let me know if you follow me or you say hi, let me know that you connected through the Ghost Maidens, so I know that's where you're coming from, and I'll treat you extra nice.
You hear that, chat?
Actually, here's a plug for you, if I may work this in.
Yes.
Can I do this?
Yes.
Okay. 2 things. First off, if you have access to wherever you want to watch, Paranormal Caught on Camera, we're filming season 5 right now, so watch it. I would appreciate it. But even more importantly, so I launched this new project. I'm also on Patreon, patreon.com/Aaron Sagers. But I launched this new project recently. There's a brand called Ripley's Believe It or Not. Mm-hmm. And I launched a show, a web series with them called Ripley's Road Trip. And it's youtube.com/Ripley's, but it's also on their Facebook, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Go watch the first episode of Ripley's Road Trip. Give it a like if you can, a comment, a subscribe, or whatever. And we definitely need the good numbers over at Facebook because Facebook apparently still matters. I would really appreciate that because we're drumming up numbers, and I just like everything. The more support you get, the better it is. You guys are so awesome.
Ripley's,
I really appreciate it.
They're doing it all now, and also chat is totally in love with you. So
yeah, I think they're
saying you're handsome.
Oh, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Wow, chat. Jeez, you guys are thirsty.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for having me on. It was truly a pleasure, and I'm sure we'll be talking after this as well. And all you guys collectively chat. Thank you.
And I'm going to be putting all the links in the Discord again, also under our interview guests, so you can find everything in their chat. Okay.
All right. Thank you,
chat.
Aaron.
Thank you, Ghost Maidens.
Thank you, chat. Bye.
Aloha. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Patreon supporters.
Patreon supporters who?
Our Patreon supporters, whom without their help we would not be able to make any of this.
You can find a link in our Instagram bio to become our supporter. or go to www.patreon.com/theghostmaidens. And for as little as $2 a month, you get access to our films, music, and exclusive content.
If you'd like to talk with us, get in touch by sending an email to theghostmaidens@gmail.com. And remember to look for truth, not proof.
Unless you're an actual scientist. Probably also a lawyer.
Or me to my boyfriend.
Or a doctor with a reputation to uphold. Or an astronomer.
All right.
Definitely an astronomer.